So Krystal Ball was on CNN's New Day show once again to talk about the state of the race now that Bernie Sanders had a disappointing Super Tuesday, to say the least. He wasn't able to pick up some of the states that, you know, we were hopeful to pick up. It doesn't even look like he's going to pick up Maine now. So he's not going to pick up Maine, Minnesota, or Massachusetts, which were states we were all hoping that Bernie would pick up. He also didn't pick up Texas, unfortunately. And while the California lead is pretty good, it could have been a little bit higher. Same thing goes for his Utah and Colorado leads. But she's going to break down the state of the race, so go ahead and check this out. We're going to come back and talk about it.
They had one theory of the case, which is that you could expand the electorate enough to overcome, opposition from sort of the traditional Democratic voter. Now, Bernie Sanders has expanded the electorate with Latinos. He still has very high numbers with young people, which will be a critical piece of the general election. But he has not been able to bring enough voters in to make up for deficits in other areas. On the other hand, and this is the hopeful piece for people who like Bernie Sanders, he has found more receptivity with those traditional elements of the Democratic coalition than perhaps they expected. His favorability ratings are very high. Medicare for All and the Green New Deal and $15 minimum wage test incredibly well in every single state that we've seen. But people need a little bit of comfort that Bernie Sanders would be the person to defeat Donald Trump. He needs some friends. He needs some validators. He needs to be able to win that electability argument. And I think it is one that he can win. But that's where Elizabeth Warren does become important in this thing. Suburban voters are very comfortable with her. They like her. They liked her approach. They thought that she was someone who could be a strong candidate. So I think what she does could be incredibly significant if she were to back Bernie Sanders at this moment. Donald Trump is in the White House. Why? Because so many Americans were disgusted with the political establishment in D.C. and they bought his false promises that he was going to drain the swamp, and because he was a rich guy, he couldn't be bought. Look, it was all BS. But a lot of people believed that, and that was appealing. So Hillary Clinton took on water because she was seen as part of a corrupt establishment in D.C. That is a problem for Joe Biden. I mean, going back to Elizabeth Warren, think about the issue that she came into politics fighting. It was this bad bankruptcy bill that benefited credit card companies that Joe Biden was a champion of. He was called the senator from MBNA, a credit card issuer, because of his coziness with the credit card companies. I think it's a very important issue to litigate. They are running very different campaigns. There's a New York Times article saying, Wall Street's opening up their pocketbooks to Joe Biden. Health insurance stocks spiked when he had a good night. That says something about who the big corporate interests want to be in the White House. And I think that is a deeply important issue for Democratic primary voters, but also looking forward to the general election.
So the thing that's really happening right now is that the states that are electing Joe Biden are the same states that elected Hillary Clinton in 2016, which are states that are never going to go blue. So for example, like Alabama, like 64% of the vote went to Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden won every southern state. There were only a couple southern states where Bernie was even close. A lot of the southern states he just got demolished in. And part of that is Bernie Sanders' fault, actually. And so I think that Bernie really needs to sort of revitalize and re-strategize. And he's already doing this. He's already re-strategizing his election strategy. But what he needed to do was before Super Tuesday, because now it's a little bit too late. It's not fully too late. It's a little bit too late. But what he should have done was he should have started running those Barack Obama ads before Super Tuesday, because there were so many southern states on Super Tuesday. You have Oklahoma, you have Alabama, you have all these, Tennessee, you have all these states, right? So if he had ran those ads, he would have been able to pick up a lot more African-American voters and boomer voters, because they would have thought that, oh, look, Obama likes him, I'm going to like him. And also, I don't think he's doing a good job of television ads, period. He needs to be running more TV ads. Now, he's doing that now. Like, I saw that he just put out a NAFTA ad in, I think, Michigan. He's running the Obama ad in Florida. And then he is running the Social Security ad in a state that I don't remember. Maybe Michigan or somewhere. I don't remember what state he's running that Social Security ad in. But Bernie needs to do a couple of things. He needs to start going all out in terms of advertisements on television, because that'll get the boomer vote out. For some reason, young people are not going out to vote, which is sad. Please, if you're a young person, I need you to go out and vote, there's no excuse, by the way, for you guys. There's early voting in every state. You should be able to vote. So get your ballots in. But if you do that, you should be able to flip some of the boomer vote. And I feel like Bernie is just, I feel like his campaign strategy last time would kind of suck too. I didn't like how he did the kid glove stuff in 2016. He's doing a repeat of that now. And so every time he talks about Joe Biden, he prefaces every single thing by saying he's a good guy and I like him. And he's my friend. And, every once in a while we give each other hand jobs. And, every once in a while it turns into a blowy. That kind of, it's just like, is it really necessary? A, is it necessary? B, is it effective? Honestly, I have not seen it being effective to basically preface it by saying we love each other, but here's my disagreements. Just go ham. Like, I think it's time for Bernie to really step in. He needs to get into the trenches. He needs to really buckle down. He needs to knuckle up and get ready, because this is really our stretch. This is our key stretch here, especially with Florida coming up and the elections on the 10th and then the debate on the 15th. So there's a lot at stake here. And so what Bernie Sanders needs to do to pick up those traditional voters is trying to peel off boomers, run ads on Social Security, non-stop Social Security ads. There's already statistics that show in those states, Social Security Joe Biden key search is actually going up. So, when a boomer sees a clip of Joe Biden saying that he's going to cut their Social Security, that's going to pique their interest, because what are boomers getting? Social Security. Same thing goes for Medicare. So he needs to run more of those ads. Now, he's starting to do that now, which is good. And he needs to run those Obama ads in Mississippi is what he needs to do. Because in Mississippi, we can't afford to get rocked in Mississippi. We got rocked in Mississippi 31-5 in delegate count. That is a massive delegate lead, and it wiped out any potential we had in Michigan. In 2016 in Michigan, I think the deficit was like 4 delegates. But that win got totally shattered and just thrown into the wind because of that Mississippi primary, in which Hillary Clinton dominated. So we can't just shove everything into Michigan. We have to look at the whole picture, because if we're looking at Michigan, we really don't know how it's going to turn out, because remember last time the Michigan polls were wrong by 15 points? So they actually had, the aggregate numbers had Bernie down 15 points against Hillary Clinton the day before the election, and then he came back to win. So that basically tells me, okay, we don't really know what's going to happen in Michigan until the actual day of, which is kind of scary, very anxiety-inducing, it makes me very anxious. But we can't just afford to put all of our eggs in one basket in Michigan. Yeah, it's important to win Michigan, but really at the end of the day, like, who really cares about winning Michigan if we're going to suck in the other states? So he's got to figure something out in Mississippi. Now, I know a lot of these states are TFGs, and it is sad that these states that are never going to go blue have such a disproportionate effect on our election. Mississippi's not going to go blue. Alabama's not going to go blue. These are red states. South Carolina, these are red states. And so, Democrats win it off the backs of states that'll never determine, that'll never vote for them. And then they get shocked when they lose the election, So it kind of is a back and forth kind of thing going on here. But we can't afford to get mopped in Mississippi. So Bernie Sanders needs to start running those Obama ads now, immediately. He needs to start running those Obama ads. And he really has to come out strong, and he really has to dig in, has to shred Joe Biden nonstop, and stop with the whole he's my buddy. But the thing is, even if you're going to do the he's my buddy, just run ads that really clearly and concisely antagonizes Joe Biden, or at least, maybe not antagonizes, but that just shows how he's anti, Medicare for all. Because as Krystal Ball points out there, Medicare for all was approved of in every single state. And the wording of the question is actually fairly strong. It says, get rid of all private insurance and have one government option. That's some strong wording right there. That's some very strong wording right there that basically says, yeah, I want to get rid of it. So, it's not something that's, deceptively worded or anything. That's pretty strongly clean-cut worded. And so the fact that they're supporting Medicare for all tells me that maybe either they're not voting based on policy, which is very likely, and if that's the case, and people are voting for Bloomberg and Biden based on Obama ties, that's another reason for Bernie Sanders to continue to run those Obama ads in the southern states and states like Florida, because in Florida we've got a really big hole right now. Biden's actually at like 75%, so we obviously need to at least be viable, but really we want to lose by like 30 or less points. because otherwise I don't think we're going to be able to win this election. But the point being here, we can't get rocked in Mississippi, folks. We have to have an all the above approach. Bernie needs to really dig in. He needs to start running these ads everywhere, and that's what we need to see happen. But Krystal Ball on the money here with her analysis once again. And Bernie is just going to have to, he's going to have to do more. I feel like he hasn't really been doing much. Outside of doing his rallies, he hasn't really doing much strategically to try to basically pull people, right? For the Biden campaign, they were strategically having the moderates coalesce around him. He didn't really have any plans of any sort. He was just kind of going with the motions, which I think was not good. I think it backfired. But hopefully he can rebound. You know, we need him to rebound, obviously, here. But a lot of anxiety-inducing days coming up is, you know, we're not even far from the next election day, dude. The next election day is Tuesday. It's like 4 days from now. Oof, that is super close, and we really have no idea how it's going to turn out either. We roughly know, but we really don't know.